Well, I came out to my local lake today, and this is what I am greeted by. It looks like it's pretty much froze solid. I thought today it was a little warmer and might thaw out, but it looks like this just froze up. It looks like there might be a little spot over there by the drain that's still not frozen. There's some dudes working over there. I don't know if I'm gonna even bother at this point. The deepest part of this lake is actually in the middle. So I guess I'm gonna have to call it a day. It's unfortunate. Howdy YouTube. Well, as you can tell by that video, the lakes in Maryland have frozen over hard. We had a polar vortex come through and it dropped the temperatures down real low. We had the weather turn. We had a warm front come through, but I guess it wasn't enough to thaw out the lakes around here. So we're going to go over some of the stuff I would have used had the water not been frozen. First thing I like to throw in the winter is a tube bait. This is a Strike King on a 1/4 ounce jig head. I really like these. I'll do them in white color because at this time of the year the fish have really lost a lot of their color that they get in the summertime, like the greens and blacks. They really fade out, so you're left with kind of a paler fish, and that includes the bait fish too. The crappie, even the minnows start losing their color. So I like to stick with this white color. This is pearl and pepper, so it's white with black flakes. I like to put a rattle in the end. You can hear it. You can do all sorts of cool things with these tubes. You can take a cotton ball, ball it up, dip it in some scent, and shove it in the end of this so it lets out a continuous scent off of it. My buddy takes Alka-Seltzer and he puts them on the end of this, and it fizzes. It'll go, you know, up and down as it dissolves. It'll make bubbles, and then it'll just kind of go like that. You want to work these real slow along the bottom. Just cast them out, let them sink to the bottom, and just slow drag them real slow. You can twitch them a little bit. Nothing big, no major movements with your rod. You just want it to be real slow and subtle. And I prefer to use smaller baits in the winter because the fish are in energy conserving mode. So when you think about it, what takes more work, eating a smaller prey animal or a bigger one? They don't want to have to fight a bigger fish, you know, to get that down their gullet. They want something small and easy, fast meal, less energy. Makes sense when you think about it that way. Next thing I like to throw are jigs. I try to stay away from football jigs unless I'm in rocks and it's no other option. Usually a small jig with a compact trailer. If you're fishing in muddy water, stick with your blue blacks. If you're in clear water, try greens and browns. The main thing is that your trailer should be compact. It shouldn't have a lot of action. You want it to be real compact, and you know, if it's too long, you can cut them down, trim them up so they're not as long, or you can go with a smaller type trailer like this Pocket Slim. But the key word is slow and compact. Alright, next thing I like to throw are these Rapala Shad Rap. These are suspending Shad Raps. You crank them down and they just suspend, you know. It's pretty easy. A lot of times you'll get hit on the suspending part of that, not necessarily the moving part. You just let them sit there. If there's a bass nearby, they'll be looking at it and they'll think about it and hit it. You don't want to do fast cranking with these. Just like everything else, you want it to be real slow. Colors you want to use are clear water. You can do normal natural colors, and more stained water. You can do these. This is I believe this is a glass minnow color, but it has that iridescent pattern to it, so on a sunny day it'll really throw that off. Whites work and dark water too. Let's see what else we got here. Swim baits, I don't like to use big ones. I'll go with these little storms, little paddle tails. Same idea, you throw them out, you work them real slow, kind of drag them along the bottom like they're feeding. A neat trick you can do that my buddy taught me is you can take magic markers and you know, if you go somewhere and this particular pattern that they come stock doesn't match up with anything, you can actually take a magic marker and make it look like a sunfish or a perch or whatever you got, and kind of match your bait fish. So that's kind of a cool trick you can use, and it doesn't seem to wear off if you use Sharpies. And last but not least, the thing that I like to use, Ned rigs. Now the reason I like these as opposed to Senkos in the winter is that these TRDs that are made for the Ned rig, they have a lot of action. They're real flexible compared to a Senko. Senkos are pretty flexible, but these are actually designed for the Ned rig, the mushroom head jig, and you really don't have to do a lot with these other than cast them out. If your lake or river or wherever has any kind of current, this thing will just do the work for you. I mean, it'll literally just sit there, and it looks kind of like a bait fish feeding on the bottom. So it's a nice do nothing kind of presentation. You know, if it's really cold out and your hands are cold and you really don't want to have to do a lot, this is a good option, short of using live bait, which I don't like to use. But these TRDs are a little expensive, but they are worth the money. They work better than any other kind of cut down worm or anything else because they're specifically designed for the Ned rig. So I recommend paying the extra money and getting these. A lot of people do cut down their Senkos or whatever, but they just don't have the action that the TRDs do. I'm sure there might be worms out there that you can cut down that will be equal to the action of this. But you know, unless you're using blown out worms, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You know, you're taking away from stuff you could be using in the spring. These are made for this. You might as well buy them for it. So anyway, that's what I like to use in the wintertime. They're all meant to be fished real slow. These fish are really going to be stubborn. In the wintertime, I also like to fish for crappie. If the bass are being particularly stubborn, I like to keep it real simple with my crappie fishing. I'll use a little hair jig and I'll put that under a bobber. And again, just like with the Ned rig, you don't really have to do a lot of action with these. You can pop them real gently under the bobber, but most of the time all you have to do is leave them under the bobber. The action of the water moving will cause these things to kind of dip and pop and stuff, and they work really well. So hopefully I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any luck using these techniques and lures that I mentioned, please let me know in the comments. Depending on where you live, this may or may not work for you, but here in the mid-Atlantic, I think that you probably have pretty good success with some of these. I hope. Until next time, and when the water is a little bit warmer, this is me signing out.